Venus felt a savage chill throughout her body. The cold was stifling her breathing, paralyzing her arms and legs. When she opened her eyes, she saw that she was lying chained in a tub of cold water. For a few seconds, Venus tried to realize what was happening. She did not understand how she had found herself in this room, chained and in a cold bathtub. The last thing Venus remembered was the burning fire. The girl knew that her stepmother had gotten her way after all. She had burned her in the locked apartment. But then why was Venus here? What is this place? Swinging the door open with his foot, a dark-haired young man burst into the room. "There's another person in this room," a man announced to someone. "Tell me, what is your relationship with those people outside? Where did you hide the jewels of the Pradon family?" A man asked Venus. "I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about right now," Venus asked stammeringly. Her teeth were chattering from the cold. "You don't get it, do you? Don't think that I will be lenient towards you even though you are a woman. If you refuse to talk, I'll make you suffer." Taking Venus by the face, the man spoke out. The girl could hardly hear him. She had a high fever, her whole body burning. "Hey, don't tell me you just happened to be here by accident," the man exclaimed. "Mr. Prasden, this girl was kidnapped. She had nothing to do with the robbers. She was drugged with aphrodisiacs." A man in a black suit and black sunglasses burst into the room. "What am I supposed to do with her now? I don't have an antidote at the moment," the man thought to himself. "Mr. Prasden? Is the legendary businessman and heir to the most powerful business empire standing before me?" Venus thought in surprise. Gregory Prasden drew a pistol from his pocket and shot the chains. A moment later, the girl was freed from her chains. Gregory took Venus out of the bathtub and handed her to his bodyguard. He asked to take the girl to the hospital. When Venus stepped out into the hallway, she saw several bodies on the floor. Most likely these people were dead. Finally, Venus realized what had happened to her. The girl wasn't dead. She'd just been transported back 10 years. That day, her stepmother sold her to kidnappers. It was a small criminal gang specializing in kidnapping. Before finishing the job, the criminals drugged the girl with aphrodisiacs and planned to have fun. They did not expect that the Prasden family would take an interest in their gang and investigate them. In the end, the criminal gang was destroyed. Last time Venus woke up in the hospital, she hadn't met Gregory Prasden. She only knew that the man had saved her and paid her medical expenses. In this life, Venus saw what was really going on. The jewels are hidden inside the tires of their vans. "I happened to overhear them while they were drinking and chatting," said Venus Gregory. But it was a small lie. In fact, this information the girl remembered from her past life. It had been in the news. "Thank you for the information. We'll take you to the hospital first, and then we'll deal with the jewelry. After this matter is settled, I will thank you." "No need. I was only repaying you for saving my life. If you hadn't shown up here tonight, I'd probably be dead." Suddenly, Venus realized that being in this man's arms made her feel safe. When she left the hospital, Venus was glad that she had been given the gift of life again. The girl promised herself that this time she would not make the mistakes she had made in her previous life. The girl promised herself that this time she would not make the mistakes she had made in her previous life. Suddenly, Venus heard the rustling of leaves. Turning her head, she saw Gregory Pradon. The man was holding a kitten. "You scared me! What are you doing here?" the girl asked irritably. Gregory noted to himself that the girl standing before him was different from the one he had rescued in the bathroom. She was bolder and more relaxed today. "You may be able to fool others with ease, but certainly not me." Gregory let the kitten go. "How did you know about the jewelry?" "I went through the hotel's CCTV footage. The criminals never once mentioned where they hid my family's jewelry, and I found out you were kidnapped a few hours before that. I'm sure you couldn't have heard where the jewelry was hidden." "You're really smart. Sometimes people have to be able to lie when they need to. I just wanted to thank you for saving me. Don't saw the bitch you're sitting on if you run into a similar situation again," Venus replied to the man. "I see you've gotten a little too bold," Gregory exclaimed and slammed his fist irritably against the tree trunk. Do you even know who I am? Let me tell you one thing. You were just smiling like a real fool. So I decided to play a prank on you. Approaching Venus said Gregory. He then took out a container of food and handed it to the girl. You're hungry, aren't you? I heard you haven't had dinner yet, said Gregory to the shocked girl. That man is kind of weird. Just now he was interrogating me, and now he wants to treat me to sandwiches? The girl thought to herself in surprise. But on the other hand, I'm even pleased that this man decided to look after me. After my father died, there hasn't been a man who would just take care of me. Venus thought while looking at the sandwiches. This girl is a bit strange. She was annoyed in the beginning, but now she looks peaceful and extremely lonely. Most likely some sad events happened in her life. Gregory thought. From this day forward, you can just call me by my first name. In case you've forgotten, my name is Gregory. And my name is Venus Thompson. But from this day forward, you may call me by my first name, too. The girl exclaimed happily and held out her hand for a handshake. Gregory, on the other hand, decided not to shake the girl's hand, for she was fat. By the way, I came here not only to feed you, but also to give you your things. We found your cell phone and ID in your hotel room. Gregory gave the girl her smartphone and passport. I put my number in your phone. If anything happens, you can call me for help. As she approached her house, Venus heard loud music. The girl remembered that today was her half-brother Isaac's birthday. It was his 18th birthday. He was her stepmother, Gwen's favorite son. All the important bigwigs of the town had been invited to the event. The first thing Venus decided to do was sneak into her room. Climbing over the ledges in the wall, Venus climbed to the window of her room. She was thankful that her window was slightly ajar. Most likely the maid was airing out the room. Venus put on an evening dress and did a light makeup. The girl planned to reveal the true face of her stepmother tonight. "Good evening, Mama Gwen," Venus exclaimed loudly as she descended the stairs to the main hall. "What's she doing here? I sold her to a bunch of criminals this afternoon. We agreed that those bandits would beat her to death and hide her body. She shouldn't be competing with my son for the inheritance." Frightened, Gwen thought to herself, "Venus, it's great that you've come to your senses and decided to join us. Gwen told me that you lost your temper this afternoon and ran away from home. I had planned to talk to you tonight about your behavior." Smiling, Mr. Thompson addressed his daughter. "Yes, Father, my dear sister has come to my party after all. Isn't it great?" Also smiling happily, Isaac asked, "My sister's so stupid, but that's okay and I'll look better against her," Isaac thought to himself. "It's okay. Look at me and gloat. You won't be gone long. I'm back in a new form. That simple Venus is gone. I won't let any more harm come to the Thompson family. I will protect my father." Venus decided to herself. Gregory noticed Venus in the crowd of guests. He was glad to see this girl again. "My mom, Gwen, today is my half-brother Isaac's birthday. I really wanted to attend the event, but for some reason you slipped me a sleeping pill. I'm so glad I woke up early and was able to make it to the celebration." "Nonsense. I had to give you sleeping pills since you've been telling me throughout the day that you weren't feeling well." Acting like a good stepmother, Gwen said. Mr. Thompson noted to himself that his wife was saying something completely different from what she had told him before. Gwen claimed his daughter had gone crazy and run away from home. Now it turns out she was just sleeping. Which of these words was true? "And I was just thinking about the fact that you only invited family members to the party. I, on the other hand, was sent to bed so I wouldn't be in the way." "Am I understanding the situation correctly?" Venus asked Gwen. "Strange relationship the relatives in this house have. The girl seems to be implying that she doesn't feel like a member of their family," whispered the guests. "Venus, I think you're just having a violent fantasy. How could you think of me giving you sleeping pills on purpose? And let's not joke about this anymore. I propose we cut the birthday cake. This I present to you." Gwen decided to change the topic of conversation. "Mama Gwen, I remember you always told me that I should be a housekeeper. I never thought you were implying that I should fulfill the role of a servant. Or have I misunderstood again? Venus continued to ask uncomfortable questions. What on earth happened to that wench? Where did her docile nature go? There's obviously something wrong with her today. Gwen thought to herself, shuddering at the last words. That's enough. Venus, you don't need to cut the cake. There are many other ways to show your love for your little brother. Let's sing a song together in honor of Isaac's birthday, suggested the girl's father. He hated to see his spouse and daughter fighting. I heard that Gwen used unusual methods to marry Mr. Thompson. She was once the paragon of a good stepmother, but things are looking extremely suspicious now, whispered the guests behind Gwen's back. Mom, what's wrong? You seem extremely upset. Isaac could see that his half-sister's behavior was upsetting his mother. He promised to get back at the girl for this. My dear sister, today is my birthday. What present have you prepared for me? Mom has always been generous to you, giving you money, so I think your gift should be exceptional, Isaac exclaimed loudly. Venus knew that her brother always took her mother's side, but it was a common occurrence. It would be strange if he did otherwise. Venus felt sorry for the boy, for he had no idea how devious his mother was. Venus has recently learned that her stepmother is having an affair with the illegitimate son of the Lin family. The boy turned out to be only a few years older than Isaac. I wonder how her brother would react if he found out. If we talk about money, $200 is really a lot. And that was, roughly speaking, my salary for 3 months. Throughout that time, I was practically acting as a maid. With a smile, Venus replied to her brother. Gregory watched from the sidelines. He didn't understand why Mr. Thompson had allowed his wife to abuse his daughter. Gregory suspected that Gwen had something to do with the recent human trafficking incident. Venus, are you playing a joke on me again? You didn't want to take the money yourself. You said you were afraid your classmates would complain about you bragging about them. Once again, Gwen began to justify herself. No, she's so good at twisting things around. I was extremely stupid because I used to believe every word she said, Venus thought sadly. The stepmother wanted to save money on servants, so she trusted Venus to do a little of the housework. She explained her behavior by saying that Mr. Thompson did not like wastefulness and wanted her daughter to understand how hard it was to earn money. Also, stepmother forbade the girl to appear in public because she dishonored the Thompson family. Venus Gwen never explained what you girl disgraced the family with. Venus decides that humiliating her stepmother in front of everyone is enough. It could have a negative effect on her father's reputation. She will expose her stepmother, but in some other way. Gwen's mom, I know you're very considerate, and there is nothing wrong with spending more money on your own son than on your adopted daughter. I didn't have the money to buy a gift for Isaac at the moment, but I'll show my love for him in another way. Venus approached the musicians and asked them for a violin. The girl played one musical composition for her brother. This melody was written by a musician whose talent was not recognized until he died. Is Mr. Thompson's daughter unknown for her lack of education among the ladies of the capital? When did she learn to play the violin like that? And have you noticed that this girl is behaving differently today? Once more, the guests began to whisper. That little creep has gotten all the attention! How she pisses me off! Gwen grumbled to herself. I want to strangle that thing with my own hands. How did she manage to escape from the bandits? Oh, and Gregory Praden looks at her with admiring eyes. Everyone knows that this man despises the people around him, especially girls. Has this wretch managed to take a liking to him? It can't be. Come on, stop playing the violin. And I know you've never picked up that instrument. You're probably pretending to play when what you're really sounding like is a fake recording. Isaac shouted irritably and grabbed his sister by the hair. If you don't like the gift, you can say so. You don't want to say something untrue about your sister. Gregory exclaimed and grabbed Isaac's arm. Look at what's going on! The heir to a business empire has decided to stand up for Mr. Thompson's daughter! The audience gasped in surprise. So how did Gregory end up at this event? And it turns out he saved me again, Venus thought to herself. It's a very beautiful tune, and so is the singer. Gregory praised the girl. Venus felt her face flush with color. It had been a long time since she had received such compliments, and in the presence of so many people. Well, since my brother doesn't want to receive gifts from me and doesn't want me at his party, I should leave. Venus exclaimed loudly and hurried away. Isaac wanted to object to his sister, but Mr. Thompson stopped him. He asked his son to show respect for Venus and not to touch her again. I think I ignored too many things when I was away from home. I focused too much on business and not on my family. Now it's time to deal with all that. Mr. Thompson muttered thoughtfully. Venus ran outside and tried to stop the cab. At this moment, the young girls were jealous that the heir to Gregory's business empire had stood up for Venus. They were extremely curious about how the two had met and what they had in common. What a stupid girl! To humiliate my son in front of guests like that! Now our family will have to clean up this shame. But that's okay. I had a courier bring me a serious dose of poison today, and once she takes it, we'll finally be rid of her. We can't delay any longer. We need to get rid of this girl as soon as possible before she makes some serious connections. Gwen hoped that at least this time her dream would come true. She would get rid of the annoying Venus. Venus arrived at the bar and decided to celebrate her stepmother's humiliation. She still managed to put the woman in her place in the presence of respectable people. The girl had to come up with a plan to prevent her father's attempted assassination. In a past life, the stepmother used poison to poison Venus's father. This poison was very unpredictable. Its symptoms were impossible to detect until the very end. Only an autopsy could tell what poisoned a person. Venus decided that the next time her stepmother brought her father tea, she would discreetly take it to the laboratory for sampling. She would show her father what his wife was trying to get him drunk on. Also, the girl needed to find a way to remove toxins from the body of her father, who had been poisoned for a long time. In her past life, when the girl went to the doctors, they told her that only one person would be able to cure him. The miracle doctor was the ghostly specialist Mr. Shen Kruger. The man was really mysterious, and no one knew anything about him. In her previous life, Venus had only learned that the doctor existed from a screenshot on Twitter. You hear that, pretty lady. It has come to my attention that you were the one who leaked the information about our merchandise. I'm afraid you're going to have to come along with us. A tall man suddenly appeared next to Venus. His entire body was covered with colorful tattoos. I don't know what you're talking about right now at all. Venus decided to stall for time. She needed to think of ways to escape as soon as possible. Stop playing the naive fool. If you're thinking of stalling for time, you're not going to make it. We've got the whole bar surrounded, so you won't be able to escape. Leaning over the girl said the tattooed criminal. Venus grabbed a beer glass off the bar and brought it down on the man's head. Venus's cell phone rang. Before the girl could pick up the phone, the perpetrator grabbed her by the hair and took the phone away. From the moment you leaked information about our product, you owe us, the tattooed man announced to the girl. Well, why am I such a loser? I wanted to take a break from my problems at the bar, but I ran into more problems. If I was doing well at home, I would never have come here. Venus thought to herself sadly. Gregory dialed Venus's phone number several times, but no one picked up. The girl was out of range. Most likely, her phone was simply disconnected. Why do I get the feeling that this girl is in danger? Luckily, I was able to put a bug on her phone. Considering she knew where the jewelry was, it was pretty obvious she was in danger. Gregory turned on his laptop to track Venus's location. Seal off all roads on the way to that bar, cordon off the area, and try to find Venus Thompson as quickly as possible. Gregory ordered his guards. A gang of criminals brought the girl to an abandoned warehouse. They were sure that no one would be able to find them here. There's no point in you keeping me here. The police have long since taken the Praden family's jewelry. Venus wanted to appeal to the criminals' reason. You think we're worried about pebbles and trinkets in this life? We just don't want the Praden family on our tail. We'll cut our ties to her now and breathe easy," the tattooed man explained to the girl. "And since you knew where the Praden family treasure was hidden, you should know where the fat leader hides the shimmering pearls. Tell us about it, and we won't torture you for long." Huh, you guys are so funny. Do you really think a person like him would tell me where he keeps his treasure? Who do you think is more stupid, you or him? Laughing, the girl asked. The gang leader didn't like the girl taunting him, so he kicked her several times. He told Venus that if she didn't tell him the location of the treasure, he would kick her to death. When Venus fell to the floor, she managed to pick up a small piece of glass from the floor. She planned to use it to cut the ropes. "Listen, you're so hot." The gang leader crouched down next to the girl and began to grope her body. Venus began to saw the ropes even more actively. She wanted to get free as quickly as possible so that the worst would not happen. "Get away from me! How dare you touch me!" Venus jumped up from her seat and slammed her knee into the gang leader's face. When he fell to the floor with a groan, Venus rushed to the exit. The girl was thankful to God that in her past life she had been forced to practice martial arts. Of course, the skills she had acquired wouldn't help her deal with all the bandits, but she could still buy some time. Leaping out from around the corner, Venus suddenly ran into a man. She was afraid that she had fallen into the hands of criminals again. The girl swung to strike, but the man intercepted her arm. Gregory stood in front of her. "Venus, relax. Everything's going to be okay now." Gregory gently put his arm around the girl and stroked her head. Gregory saw that Venus's clothes were all torn, and her body was covered with bruises and abrasions. This fact made the man very angry. "Where are these people now?" Gregory asked angrily. The girl pointed in the direction of the abandoned warehouses. Gregory turned to his guards and ordered them to find each one and deal with them. Gregory put Venus in the car and ordered his chauffeur to take the girl to safety. "The Praxton family is responsible for you getting caught up in all this squabbling, so if you need money, we'll help you. Is there anything else you need help with?" Gregory asked the girl. Venus told Gregory that when the criminals attacked her and she dropped her cell phone, it had a picture of her dead mother on it. There were no more pictures of her mother in the house. The last one was on the phone. Gregory called the police station without saying a word and learned that all the items found at the bar were stored there. Gregory gave Venus another phone. He said that the girl could use it until she got her phone back. When the girl opened her eyes, she realized Gregory was carrying her in his arms. At this point, they were in the local hospital. "Look, it's the heir to a business empire. Why is he carrying that girl in his arms? They must be dating," whispered the patients in the hallways. Venus was extremely uncomfortable with Gregory carrying her in his arms. The girl asked him to let her go because she could walk on her own. "Listen, while I remember, and while you're around, I want to tell you something. Those criminals asked me about some shimmering pearls the fat leader had hidden somewhere," narrated Venus Gregory. With that information, Venus hoped that Gregory would go after the criminals. If Gregory dealt with that gang, they wouldn't be able to attack her again. She can't put her life at risk. Venus must save her father at all costs. "Don't worry, I'll protect you. I won't let those people attack you again." Gregory noticed that the girl was upset about something, so he hurried to reassure her. Venus noted to herself that she felt comfortable around Gregory. Even though she didn't know the man, she trusted him completely. Venus was already convinced that if Gregory said something, he would do it. "Gerard, gather all the information you can about the shimmering pearls and their owner immediately." "Did the kidnappers tell you what they were doing with Venus?" asked Gregory into the phone. "Yeah, we figured it out. The kidnappers wanted to have fun with the girl and then kill her. Fortunately, Mrs. Thompson turned out to be an extremely intelligent woman, so she managed to escape." Reporting to his boss was the general manager of the Praden Group, Gerard Green. "I believe we arrived on the scene quite promptly. If we had been a few minutes late, the kidnappers could have caught up with Mrs. Thompson, and there's no telling what would have happened. Take these kidnappers to the basement and beat them unconscious. Tell these people that the next time they come within a foot of Mrs. Thompson, we'll kill them." Barely containing his rage, Gregory said and hung up the phone. Gerard was extremely surprised that his boss was annoyed about some girl. This was a first. Did our boss really fall in love with this girl? This is unbelievable! A man who constantly resembles ice melts at the sight of this young girl. How interesting it all is! Gerard was glad that his boss had finally fallen in love. "Quickly find information about Venus Thompson. The boss has fallen in love for the first time, so he's lost his head. We have to take this matter more seriously than him," said Gerard to his subordinates. "Why are you still here? You must have a lot of work to do. A man like you must be busy all the time," Venus exclaimed when she saw Gregory in her room again. "Isn't she happy to see me?" Gregory didn't understand why the girl was reacting this way to him. Venus knew that the Pradon family had a lot of money. Gregory could have sent someone to guard her, but for some reason he was always here by himself. Venus had no idea why Gregory was acting this way. Suddenly the silence of the room was broken by the girl's growling stomach. Confused, Venus admitted that she hadn't eaten in a long time and was very hungry. Gregory promised the girl that he would bring her breakfast right away and hopped out of the room. Gregory didn't know what Venus liked to eat for breakfast, so he ordered just a little bit of everything. The salesgirl was extremely surprised. First of all, the modest store had never been visited by any respectable men. Secondly, it was the first time she had ever ordered the whole menu at once. When Gregory returned to the room, the girl saw that he was hung with just a huge number of different packages. Gregory put the food on a tray and handed it to the girl. Venus felt like the first lady of the country. "Thank you so much for your concern. There's a lot of food here. I can hardly eat it all," the girl admitted. The phone on the bedside table vibrated. Venus received a message from her stepmother. The woman reminded the girl that a new semester started tomorrow. The stepmother wanted to pick Venus up so they could go shopping together. Venus had completely forgotten that she had not yet finished her studies in this life. She didn't want to go home or to college. She needed to find a job as soon as possible. But on the other hand, if she doesn't finish college and pass the exam, she will never be able to find a high-paying job. She won't be able to fully support herself and, if necessary, protect her father. What will she do now? "Gregory, can I ask you a favor?" The girl wanted him to help her with her schooling. Well, and then maybe with employment. "I can't give you anything in return at the moment, but I promise that as soon as I get the chance, I'll pay you back right away," said Venus to Gregory. Damn, what's going on in that girl's head? Why does she keep thinking I want something from her? But on the other hand, I'd like her to be my girlfriend. I'll help her out and then ask her out. She won't be able to say no. Gregory thought to himself. "And what is your request?" asked Gregory. "We have classes starting tomorrow and are required to do some social practice. But I can't do it for several reasons." Venus began to narrate. In her past life, her stepmother wouldn't even let her leave the house, let alone study. "I'm unlikely to have the opportunity to fill in my form with the right data, and without this form, I can't study further." Venus pressed her pity. "And you want me to help you fill out the form and stamp it?" clarified Gregory to the girl. "Yes, you got me right. I'm going to quickly run home now and get the questionnaire. Afterward, you will help me fill it out," Venus said in a joyful voice as she got out of bed. Gregory took the girl by the shoulders and put her back into bed again. He asked her not to make any sudden movements as she still needed bed rest. Gregory promised that he would send someone to her house to find the questionnaire and bring it to her. The girl began to guess that Gregory liked her. However, Venus was in no hurry to fall in love. She knew from her past life that love was a fatal mistake. On top of that, she has no time to pay attention to anyone else. For the moment, she should be focusing on her father's life and health. "Listen, why don't you let my friend come visit me? I haven't seen her in a long time, so I really miss her," Venus asked Gregory. Gregory almost didn't hear what the girl was saying. He scrutinized her face. Even without makeup, she was very beautiful. "Gregory, you're looking at me so intently. Is there really something you want to say?" The girl was uncomfortable under the man's intense gaze. Ignoring the girl's question, Gregory called Gerard and asked him to send some men to the Thompson family home. The questionnaire had to be found and brought to the hospital. Gerard reported to his boss that he now had Mrs. Thompson's phone in hand. He promised to get all the information he could out of it. In a couple hours, Gregory would know all of Venus's secrets and mysteries. Gregory hoped that if he knew Venus's background, he would be able to understand the girl better. For the moment, Venus was still a mystery to him. The girl looked extremely modest, but she had a rather tough character. "Venus, your phone has been picked up from the police station and will be brought here in a couple hours," Gregory said to the girl, hanging up the phone. "Gregory, and I have a question for you. How do you know my half-brother? Why would a famous person like you show up at such a small birthday party?" Venus asked. "You didn't think I came to your house just for you?" "Question for question," Gregory answered. "A lot of things have turned around in my life since meeting you. You really helped my family by getting the jewelry back, so I feel like I should care about you." The man confessed. "This man stares so intently into my eyes, like he's trying to look into my soul. He probably doesn't trust me, even though he admits he likes me. It's probably some kind of devious game." Venus thought, looking into Gregory's eyes. "I get it now. Thank you for opening up to me," said Venus, gently pushing Gregory away from her. "You're welcome. I have a favor to ask of you, too. I need a girl for the businessman's charity party next week, and I think you can help me with that." "You want me to fulfill the role of your girlfriend?" Venus clarified. The girl knew that your charity party would be just a huge number of people. Among them would be many big businessmen. She didn't want to be present at such an important event. "Okay, I'll go with you." Since Venus felt indebted to Gregory, she couldn't refuse him. She would have to play the role of a girl in love. "Now this girl is trapped. In just a little while she'll be mine. The whole business world will know that Venus Thompson is my girl. After that, no man will dare date her," Gregory thought to himself with a smirk. "Damn, that man is looking at me so suspiciously. I probably fell into his trap without realizing it. Well, we'll deal with problems as they come. It's not the biggest problem at the moment." "Okay, get some rest. I have to go now. I'll get back to you tonight," promised the girl, Gregory. The phone in Venus's hands played again. This time it was her father calling. The man was angry that his daughter was out at night and missing college. Venus realized that her stepmother was probably playing a mean game again. "Venus, I realize you're an adult, but you're still learning. You need to focus on your studies. I want you home tonight. Come home quickly and explain to me what's going on," shouted the father into the phone. Venus realized that her stepmother was at it again. Gwen was a cunning woman and good at hiding her true intentions. She always claimed she was doing everything for the good of the family, but that wasn't really the case. Previously, Venus believed every word her stepmother said, so she was deceived. This time, if she wants to defeat this woman, she should be a few steps ahead. She can't let her stepmother fool her and her father again. "Dad, how much longer are you going to believe your spouse? Last night that woman hired people to beat me up. Now I'm at my friend's house. And if you have nothing more to say to me, I'm going to pass out," the girl exclaimed angrily into the receiver. "And by the way, just so you know, I never skipped college. I also slept at home every night. You can easily verify all of that." Venus was offended that her father was constantly siding with his spouse. "Venus, I know your stepmother hurt you last night. She told me everything. I have already talked to her about it. I also know that you and your stepmother are on bad terms. You should stop being angry with her and lying to us." In a calmer voice, the father said, "I already called the college, and they confirmed that you skipped classes a few days ago," said the shocked girl to her father. Venus realized that her stepmother had managed to bribe the teachers at the college. "Focus on your studies. I'll send you some money. Now, if you need money or anything else, just call me. You don't have to put your stepmother on notice anymore," Dad went on to say. "Thanks, Dad." The fact that Venus would now not have to answer to her stepmother for every move was a small victory. The woman's authority was broken. Venus realized why Gwen wanted her home. It was hard for her to control the girl from afar. Now Venus was sure that she should not return home. She decided to act from afar. She would gather the necessary information, and then she would finally disgrace and neutralize her stepmother. Venus warned her father that a friend of hers would be coming to their house soon to pick up her things. "I'll only go home if Gwen sincerely apologizes to me. Until then, I will be living on campus," said Venus and hung up the phone. First, the girl needed to hire the best detective in town. The battle against her stepmother would require additional strength. After researching several websites, the girl realized that the detective services were very expensive. It was necessary to earn this money first. Before the girl could think about it, money from her father came to her card. He wired her $2,000. The money was enough to hire a detective for a few days. Probably shouldn't send a detective after the stepmother. She's very cunning and cautious, so she'll smell a stakeout quickly. Better to send a detective after Isaac. He's not likely to realize he's being followed. Venus decided to devise a plan of action. I wonder if Gwen knows that her son likes to court several girls at once. Maybe set up a conflict between them? A feud between those two would only benefit me. "Chief, I brought the phone. If you want, I'll take it to your girlfriend myself." Gerard couldn't wait to see the lady of his boss's heart. "She's too sick to take people in. You better give me her cell phone and get out." In a menacing voice, Gregory told his subordinate, "On top of that, the doctor said she should recover in silence, and you talk too much. You'll tire the girl out quickly." Strange. This model is quite old, and the phone's protective glass is completely cracked. Why was Venus so eager to return it? Maybe it really does hold some secret information that my people couldn't get out? Venus dreamed about events from her past life. She again saw her father's death and her own death in a burning apartment. The girl jumped up on the bed in horror. Fortunately, it's just a dream. I am currently in the hospital recovering from the beating. There's no way I can let this dream become a reality. The girl began to reassure herself. In my past life, I was helpless. Now I'm completely different. Then my fiancé tricked me, lured me into the apartment, and killed me. This time I'll trust only myself. Venus, is something wrong? You look extremely frightened. Gregory entered the room. He was holding a small pink bag. No, it's okay. I just had a bad dream. The girl confessed to him. Suddenly, Gregory grabbed Venus's hand and put her palm to his heart. Feel my heart beating. The bad mood will go away quickly and you won't be hurt anymore. I won't let anyone hurt you, said Gregory, looking intently into the girl's eyes. Feeling Gregory's heartbeat, the girl suddenly realized that it was actually calming. She definitely liked this man. For one thing, he looked flawless every time they met. Secondly, it is as if he senses that the girl needs help and comes immediately. Venus was glad that she had met Gregory in this life. Involuntarily, a joyful smile appeared on her face. You look beautiful when you smile naturally, said Gregory, and kissed a strand of the girl's hair. Listen, what did you bring with you? Venus squinted at the pink bag. It's your phone. You can use it now. Gregory handed the girl her smartphone. By the way, I memorized your form and sent it for confirmation. You'll be stamped and signed soon. I'll take you to the college tomorrow. I mean, are you taking me to college? I mean, we might be seen together. The girl exclaimed in amazement. Venus didn't want unpleasant rumors going around the college that she had found herself a rich man. What's embarrassing to you? What's so scary about us being seen together? Gregory asked, irritably. Hell, if my classmates think I'm dating Gregory Prasden himself, they'll kill me for sure. My college life is hardly going to be peaceful. Venus thought wistfully to herself, but tried to put on a happy smile. It's better for all of us. If people know we know each other, I can openly support you. Also, I have one problem. I want to solve it with your help, explained Gregory to the girl. My parents insist that I get married. Help me deal with this. In exchange, I'll fulfill any 3 wishes you have. Gregory bent low over the girl. You come from one of the most prestigious families. Why do your parents insist on getting engaged so soon? You're still very young. Why would you get married so early? Venus asked in surprise. Gregory didn't have time to answer her as his phone rang in his pocket. Gregory, I just found out that you are currently in the hospital with a girl. Admit it. Is she your fiancée? What does she look like? Is she pretty? Bring her to our house. I want to look at her, shouted Gregory's mother into the phone. You just saw for yourself how worried my mother is about the fact that I'm still single, said Gregory to Venus and hung up the phone. Yeah, there's a really serious problem in your life. Okay, I'll help you. Just promise me you won't go to college with me tomorrow, Venus said with a happy giggle. If my classmates think we're dating, they'll be wildly jealous of me. The girls will make all sorts of mischief, and I want to focus on my studies. Think of it as the first of 3 wishes. All right, I'll take it. Take this gift from me. Gregory handed the girl another bag. It turned out to contain several dresses. Also at the bottom of the package, Venus found paired keychains. So, Gregory, are you ready to be my boyfriend? Venus asked. Gregory agreed to the girl's proposal and asked to take their pact more seriously. From now on, you are my girlfriend. Don't let anyone ruin this union. By the way, I connected your phone to mine. Now they are displaying the same information, said Gregory to the girl. Can I ask now to fulfill the 2 wishes I have left? Venus asked, embarrassed. She really wanted to keep her father safe. First of all, my stepmother poisoned my father with poison by putting it in his tea, but my father will never believe it. So I want to provide him with proof. The poison is quite strange. It's hard to recognize. If I don't prove to my father in short order that he's being poisoned, he'll just die. Okay, I'll take that one. What about the second wish? Gregory was unexpectedly quick to agree. My father was poisoned a while ago, and I want you to help me find information about a healer. He's the only one who can help my father. The only thing is, this doctor is very hard to find. He leads a secretive life. Okay, I hear you. Once again, Gregory agreed. You agreed to everything so quickly. To be honest, I'm a little surprised, the girl exclaimed. It's just very easy for me to fulfill your wishes. The healer you speak of is the older brother of my manager, Gerard. I have been friends with this secretive physician since I was a child. He will agree to fulfill any of my requests, replied Gregory to the girl. Now that we've sorted out your desires, I'm really asking you for one favor. Try to play the role of my girlfriend convincingly. Please take care of my mother. She must not be insulted. Since Gregory had agreed to fulfill Venus's 2 main desires, she was willing to agree to any of his terms. The girl promised that she would turn her acting skills on full blast. She would not disappoint him. Now let's rehearse the interaction between the pair beforehand, just in case my mother figures out our tricks, suggested Gregory to the girl. Suddenly, Gregory leaned over the girl and kissed her on the lips. Venus, why do you keep pulling away from me? If you want to play the role of my girlfriend, you shouldn't be doing this, made a remark to Venus by Gregory. But don't worry too much about it, and I'm sure it'll work out for you and me, Gregory said, and patted the girl on the head. Gregory didn't want to force the girl to do anything without her will. He didn't want to leave bad memories of himself, and he wanted the girl to like him, noticing his good qualities and kind attitude. That's it. Go to bed. I'll take you to college tomorrow. After all, I'm your boyfriend now, so I won't be able to let you go alone, Gregory said and stroked the girl's head. How on earth did this happen? Why did he treat me like a child? Venus thought indignantly to herself as she drifted off to sleep. Listen, Gregory, why aren't you leaving? Venus asked after 10 minutes. And you want me to leave? You know I don't want to leave you alone. I'll stay with you for a while longer, replied Gregory to her. When Venus opened her eyes in the morning, she saw Gregory sitting beside her bed. The man was asleep. He had probably been in her room all night. He keeps guarding me after all. That's so sweet, Venus thought to herself. Here, take these. They're filled out forms. And don't worry, I won't be going into the college with you. I'll just be dropping you off. Gregory held out a small envelope to the girl. Here is my application form for admission to your college. It's stamped by the company, as it should be. Venus gave the committee chairperson the completed forms. The director and his assistant were extremely surprised to see the Prasden family seal on the envelope. Who is this girl? How should they address her now? Won't she get them into trouble? I heard that this girl didn't have an internship on this vacation. How is that even possible? But I have no doubt that this is the real stamp of Mr. Pradon's company. It is unlikely that this girl would have been able to forge it, whispered in the headmaster's ear his assistant. As recently as yesterday, Venus's stepmother had contacted the assistant principal and requested that he make every effort to ensure that the girl would not be admitted to the college for further studies. Venus Thompson, can you explain to me how it is that without having done any internships, you managed to fill out an application form? The principal asked the girl. What do you want me to say? Can't you see that the stamp is real? If I wanted to, and I would forge a stamp from any other company, why would I do that to the biggest company in our country? Venus asked the director. By the way, I'm very curious. How did you know that I didn't have an internship? What do you know about me? Why were you interested in my personality in particular? Where did you get the information about me from? Venus continued to ask. The director didn't want to get involved with this girl and Mr. Prasden's company. He had to sign the girl's form. The man promised himself that from now on he would not take his eyes off this student. She would be on his special account. Consider yourself enrolled in college for further study, but as of today, new rules apply. Every new student must run 3 laps around the stadium. You may go jogging now, shouted the principal angrily. Venus had absolutely no idea why the principal was acting this way toward her. She was extremely confused by his attitude. Why was he so angry with her when she had done nothing wrong? Oh, look who's running laps around here! What horrible things did you do that the principal made you run laps? It's humiliating to be in the same college with you. Running her 3rd lap, Venus met 3 of her nemeses. In her past life, these 3 girls had constantly insulted and bullied Venus. The most dangerous of them all was Greta. In her past life, she liked Venus's fiancé Chowdy, and worst of all, Chowdy never once helped Venus. Get away from me. I don't have time to fight with you, replied the girls to them and ran on. Venus knew these 3 friends from high school. They had studied together. Even back then, the girls used to take out their anger on Venus. The 3 friends caught up with Venus and took her to a deserted place. I can't understand why you're picking on me. If you want Chowdy, you can feel free to take him. He is of no use to me, said Venus to the 3 girlfriends. In a past life, Chowdy had courted Venus for several years, and eventually they were to be married. This marriage was extremely favorable to the guy. After the engagement, Chowdy started cheating on the girl. He even slept with her stepmother. During their romantic encounters, Venus and Chowdy only held hands. They never once kissed or touched each other. The boyfriend kept his distance from Venus at all times. Venus was extremely naive in her past life and was very fond of Chowdy. She thought that they had a perfect relationship. The girl was very afraid that eventually Chowdy would leave her for someone else. Only an idiot could fall in love with a scumbag like Chowdy. I can't wait until I get a chance to teach him a lesson, Venus thought to herself. How can you talk about Chowdy in a negative light? Just so you know, you are absolutely not worthy of him, Isabella exclaimed. A scuffle broke out. Greta pushed Venus against the wall. The girl fell and hit her head. You've gotten so weak. A simple blow took you out of it. I guess you won't be leaving here alive tonight. Greta grinned wickedly. What are you guys doing here? From deep within the park, a male silhouette approached the girls. How are you feeling? Are you okay? Gregory crouched down next to the girl. He had a mask and sunglasses on his face. Gregory came to my rescue and tried to hide his identity under a mask and sunglasses. How nice of him, Venus thought admiringly. Did those girls hit you? Asked Venus Gregory. The girlfriends started to make excuses. They said that Venus fell by herself. "Are you sure you didn't touch her?" In an angry voice, Gregory interrogated the girls. "Leave them alone, let them fail. They are not worthy of your attention," Venus told him. Suddenly, Gregory picked the girl up in his arms. Venus protested. "She didn't want this to be the subject of college gossip tomorrow. But you must have hit yourself in the fall. It would be better if I carried you to the principal's office in my arms," said Gregory, ignoring the girl's indignation. "Why does that creep always get such good-looking guys? By the way, I've seen this man somewhere before. I know his silhouette," Gabriella said irritably. "I'm this girl's bodyguard. She's injured and needs medical attention," said Gregory, entering the principal's office. "I never thought that girl could have a bodyguard. Then again, with the Pradon family, you can expect anything. I know this family's past, so I should be more careful." The headmaster thought to himself as he looked at the bodyguard. The director also noticed small scratches on the girl's body. Most likely, she had already had a fight with someone or had been attacked. "I don't believe you! You're lying to me! You're the one who attacked this girl! Quickly put her on the floor and step back a few steps!" Suddenly, the headmaster shouted, "Venus, if this man is holding you hostage, blink 3 times. I will come to your rescue immediately." The principal whispered conspiratorially. "Has Gregory been mistaken for a bad guy?" Venus thought in surprise. "Huh, that's actually my bodyguard. He and I have a rather specific relationship. This person will never do me any harm. I'm absolutely sure of that." With a laugh, Venus said, "Are you sure this man isn't forcing you to say those words? As long as you're around me, you can speak the truth. You are safe in this office." The principal continued to bend his line. "How dare you say that about me? If you don't trust this girl, then look at me. You know who I am, don't you?" With a sudden movement, Gregory ripped off his glasses and mask. "Mr. Prasden, what are you doing?" The principal marveled. "As far as I know, that girl was dared to be offended in your college practically on the first day. Aren't you supposed to keep an eye on your students?" Gregory asked in an irritated voice. "Gregory, you still haven't answered my question, have you? Why did you come to college? What are you doing here?" Venus asked when they were alone together. Gregory volunteered to treat the girl's wounds himself. "And I didn't go to work today. I was here all day. I watched you run around the stadium, but I figured I shouldn't get involved. But when I saw your conflict with those girlfriends, I knew it was time to move out," told the girl Gregory. Gregory took Venus in his arms again and carried her toward the door. When Gregory opened the door, he saw the principal on the doorstep. Most likely, the man had been eavesdropping on their conversation. "Mr. Prasden, I came to tell you that we are working on the problem you outlined to us. If you'd like, we'll send a car to take Venus home," the principal said ingratiatingly. "Don't bother, I can handle it myself," replied Gregory to the principal. Ignoring the girl's indignation, Gregory carried her in his arms down the college hallway. He wanted everyone to know that Venus was his girlfriend. The girl clung tightly to Gregory. She didn't even want to look in the direction of her classmates. Venus was extremely worried that tomorrow the whole college would be up in arms. Her relationship with Gregory Pradon would be the #1 news story. "I want you to spend a few days at home. All your wounds need to heal. Don't worry about college. We'll work out all your problems later. Right now I'm taking you to my house. You'll stay there for a few days," said Gregory to the girl. "You what? I can't stay at your house. You better take me to my friends," Venus exclaimed. Venus noticed that her words made Gregory extremely angry. He didn't like the fact that she refused to stay in his house. "Mr. Prasden, you have returned? We are glad to see you home again." Joyfully, Gregory was greeted by his servant. "And you saw, he didn't come back alone. He was carrying some girl in his arms. Could it be his fiancée? I never thought the Lord would ever want to get married." The servants whispered in surprise. "I noticed that your maid looked extremely surprised," said Venus. "That's to be expected. You're the first girl I've ever brought into my home," replied Gregory to her. "Don't think I'm somehow forcing you to live with me. The thing is, I haven't fully dealt with the group that kidnapped you yet. To keep you safe, I had to bring you here. Do not leave the house without my permission. Make yourself comfortable. This will be your room soon. I have to go now, so I'll see you tonight," said Gregory and patted the girl on the head. Gregory was sure that Venus would stay in this house for a long time. While Gregory was away, Venus decided to take time to study. She needed to catch up on her studies. In her previous life, her stepmother had prevented her from getting a decent education. "Hi, my name is Sina. The master asked me to look after you." A cute blonde-haired girl looked into the room. "Thank you, but I don't think I need supervision. I'm doing quite well on my own for now. And if I need your help, I'll be sure to call you." Venus didn't want anyone in her room. "The first night in someone else's house is always hard. I should probably go outside and get some fresh air," Venus thought to herself as she looked out the window. When Venus went down to the first floor, she saw Sina in the lobby. "You should not leave this house. The master has ordered me to see to it that you do not leave your room in his absence. If anything happens to you, he has promised to fire everyone," Sina exclaimed. Gregory entered the hall. The servants bowed low before him. The man looked extremely tired. "Are you still awake?" Gregory asked Venus, noticing her on the stairs. "If you're afraid of falling asleep, don't worry. I'm already home. Nothing will happen to you." "I didn't have time to talk to your father today, but I promise to do so tomorrow." "If you have any proof on your hands, then be sure to provide it to my father today. We can't delay. If you don't, I won't be able to sleep," the girl exclaimed angrily. "You have absolutely nothing to worry about. I've asked my man to keep an eye on your stepmother. She won't be able to hurt her father today. And on top of that, I want to gather more evidence. I've been dealing with an issue all day today regarding the college people who worked for your stepmother. They have been dismissed. From tomorrow, the college will have a new principal and his deputy." Surprisingly, Venus was able to get a good night's sleep in her new place. "The results of the tea analysis have come back. Contact has been made with the healer you sought. When do you plan to begin treating your father?" Gregory asked, and held out the analysis result to the girl. The result was the same as it had been in his previous life. The stepmother poisoned the father with a little-known poison. This substance gradually accumulated in the body and led to death. The only thing left to prove was that it was the stepmother who put the poison in the tea. "For the moment, I'll sit tight. If I tell my father he needs to get treatment, my stepmother will guess I'm digging for her. I plan to wait a little longer," Venus replied to Gregory. "Well, look, your business, but just know, while following your stepmother, we discovered another poison on her. We had it analyzed, and this one was more effective," said Gregory to the girl, and reached out to stroke her head. "You're right. More evidence needs to be gathered. I will tell my father the whole truth about his wife, but it will take time. Thank you so much for granting my wishes." Wiping her tears, Venus said. She was afraid that she would fail, and her father would die this time too. Venus decided to call her father. She couldn't tell him anything, but she wanted to hear his voice. She asked her father to take care of her health and to take the medicine prescribed by the doctor. Venus loved her father very much. She felt sorry for him, for he had fallen into the hands of a truly treacherous woman. She tried her best to befriend Gwen, but it didn't work out. Venus's mother died when the girl was quite young. At the moment, she had no one but her father. She didn't want to lose him either. Finally, the day of the charity auction arrived. Venus went to it as the bride of Gregory Prasden. "Remember, at this event you don't have to do anything special, just smile. Don't worry about anything, because I'll be by your side all the time." Looking at the girl's frightened face, Gregory decided to cheer her up. Gwen noticed her stepdaughter from afar. She was not satisfied that the girl looked very expensive. "My plans are falling apart again, and I can't let her stay close to Mr. Prasden," Gwen thought to herself irritably. "Dear husband, I know what has happened to our daughter. I am very worried about her. I would not want her to become Mr. Prasden's mistress. Who, if not us, will think about her future?" Gwen once again portrayed the caring stepmother. Venus isn't like that. She won't stand up as someone's mistress. But I think I should talk to her about Mr. Praden, replied her consort. Venus was resting in the winter garden when she suddenly heard her stepmother's voice beside her. Oh, isn't that my daughter? Honey, why are you here? Aren't you supposed to be at college? I am very upset with your behavior. Why don't you spare your mother's feelings? Asked the girl's stepmother. You must have meant your stepmother's feelings, for I have only one mother, and fortunately it is not you. Venus answered her. Have you talked to the college staff yet? Do you know what happened to your people? It's not like you've never done anything good to replace my mother. And by the way, what are you going to do next? Spread the rumor that I'm Gregory's mistress? I advise you not to do that, or you'll end up miserably. Venus warned her stepmother. Why are you saying such unpleasant things to me? Yes, I wasn't perfect, but still I made some sort of effort. Gwen pretended to cry. Acting miserable means people are around. It's just another publicity stunt, Venus thought to herself. Honey, I hope you heard what our daughter is saying about me, said Gwen. Venus, we're very worried about you. Understand, Mr. Prasden has a really huge amount of money. Any girl can date him. Have you ever wondered why he would pay attention to you? Maybe he's just playing around with you? Venus's father asked Venus. And I actually suggest we find our girl a husband. I even have a couple candidates in mind for the role, Gwen exclaimed. I think I can choose my own husband. I don't need any advice. Besides, wouldn't it be good for our family if I dated someone so important? Venus asked her stepmother. Gwen, why are you so eager to marry me off? Don't you have some other intention behind those words? Sunshine, what are you talking about? I'm just worried about you, and I want you to be happy. You're very young, and I'm afraid you might make a mistake. Gwen pretended that the girl's words hurt her deeply. Her father, on the other hand, asked Venus to apologize to her stepmother. I didn't do anything. Why should I apologize? Said Venus and turned away from her relatives. You don't like this party? Why are you so upset? Gregory's voice rang out. Nothing happened. It's just a family squabble. I'm sorry to have distracted you, Mr. Prasden, said Venus's father and bowed low with his wife. I have long wanted to say thank you for being able to raise such a wonderful daughter. Venus is not only a terrific person, but a lady with good manners. I want to tell you that we have started dating, Gregory announced to Venus's relatives. I took her with me to this party so that everyone would know about our relationship. My mistake is that I didn't ask your permission to do so. I apologize. Mr. Praden, there is no need to apologize. We can see that our Venus is happy around you. Smiling sweetly, Gwen said, That's good. Then you'll let me take care of your daughter? Asked Gwen Gregory. Venus noticed that he was rather angry. Gregory had most likely heard their entire conversation. Of course we allow it, said Gwen and hurriedly retreated with her husband. Venus was saddened by the fact that, as before, her father sided with his spouse. Put on my jacket or you'll catch a cold. And don't get upset over nothing. Don't think about what happened. Your daddy would have found out the truth sooner or later. Gregory slipped his jacket over Venus's shoulders. Thank you for helping me, even though our relationship isn't real. Tell me about your mom's character. I want to play the part of a good bride, too. With a cheerful smile, Venus asked Gregory, You'll learn about my mother's character when you meet her. I'm sure you'll get along with her. Just be yourself. It's a bad idea you don't want to tell me about your mother. What if she doesn't like me? What if your mother throws $5 million at me and tells me to get the hell out of her house? In that case, can I take the money and leave? Venus asked. Gregory grabbed the girl's hands and pulled her toward him. Would $5 million be enough for you to walk away from me? Asked Gregory, sitting the girl on his lap. If you stay with me, I'll give you so much more, and it's not just about material goods. Gregory gingerly touched the girl's face. Look, let's talk to you seriously. How does your mother like your type of girl? Venus jumped up from Gregory's lap. If I told you that my mother likes sexy girls who fulfill men's every desire, would you play the part? Whispered Gregory in the girl's ear. If I have to play the part of the sexy girl, I don't think I'll let you down, Venus said in a confident voice. Since it was quite chilly in the conservatory, Gregory and Venus decided to return to the hall. Venus decided to have another glass of wine. Gregory had gone to talk to his companions for a while. Mrs., are you single? A blonde-haired man with glasses approached Venus. The girl answered him that she had a boyfriend. I can't believe that a lovely lady like you could be left alone by your young man. So why isn't he by your side right now? The man with the glasses asked. Why don't we have dinner together? I know a fine restaurant not far from here. The man with the glasses suggested. I'm sorry, but I have to go, Venus said and turned around to leave. The girl was intimidated by the pushy man. I know you'll take this offer. Tonight we can just get what we need and not contact each other anymore. Or didn't you like me? The man with the glasses grabbed Venus's hand and pulled her tightly against him. Venus tried to pull free, but she got nothing. The man leaned over the girl, intending to kiss her. What on earth do you think you're doing? Venus exclaimed and splashed her wine in the man's face. Shit! Do you even know who I am? How can you pour wine on me? The man exclaimed indignantly. Venus, what just happened? Asked Gregory, who approached the girl. Venus told him that the pushy man had tried to kiss her. I'm giving you a chance. Do you know how many girls dream of being with me? You still have that opportunity. You don't have to play hard to get. The man with the glasses didn't stop. Apparently, you want to interrupt our cooperation. Quickly apologize to my girlfriend, ordered the man in glasses Gregory. Suddenly, his father ran up to the man with glasses and hit his son in the face with all his might. Get out of here already! When are you going to learn to keep your temper? An elderly man yelled. Mr. Prasden, I apologize to you for my son's behavior. Please do not worry about our cooperation. The elderly man bowed low before Gregory. Since you raised a son like that, I conclude that you're not what you seem either. And I think we should end our partnership after all. Gregory's voice was adamant. I think we'd better get out of here. This party is over for us. Gregory took Venus's hand and led her behind him. Venus and Gregory rode in silence in the car. She could feel with her whole body that the man sitting next to her was extremely angry. Gregory, please don't get upset. I promise you that next time, in a situation like this, I will behave differently. This is the first time I've encountered such an attitude. That's why I reacted so violently. Venus felt guilty about the situation. What next time are you talking about now? Do you want this to happen more than once? Exclaimed Gregory irritably, leaning low over the girl. His eyes were practically blazing with anger. I'm sorry, the girl whispered fearfully. Did I scare you? I'm not mad at you. No need to apologize, Gregory said in a calm voice. Looking at Venus's frightened face, he realized that he had overreacted a little. He shouldn't have behaved like that with her. Mrs. Prasden was watching the news. The big news of the day was that her son had come to the party with his girlfriend. And who is this girl Gregory has fallen in love with? Mrs. Prasden asked her butler. And the biggest question is, why haven't I met her yet? I tried to examine this girl in the news feeds, but the pictures there are too small. I can't see anything at all. Miss Prasden was indignant. The woman dialed her son's phone number and decided to express her outrage to him. She ordered Gregory to bring the girl to meet her tomorrow. The woman warned that if he didn't, she would cut him out of the will. Gregory walked to Venus's bedroom and knocked on the door. Is something wrong? Why did you come to me so early? A sleepy Venus came out of the room. I want to warn you that my mother wants to see us tomorrow, said Gregory, and looked away embarrassed. The girl was standing in front of him in just her nightgown, and that was what drove him into a blush. Venus lowered her eyes to the floor. Two contradictory feelings were struggling inside her. On the one hand, she wanted to see Gregory's mother. On the other hand, she was very afraid of this meeting. What if the woman didn't like her? If you're worried about meeting my mother, don't be. She's quite a sociable woman. You and she will surely get along. I'll get your clothes ready for you tonight. Gregory gently stroked Venus's head. Mrs. Venus, our master has prepared these clothes for you. A joyful Sina entered Venus's room. In her hands, the girl held a large box. In the box was a beautiful white dress and colored sneaker shoes. Venus put on her dress and went down to breakfast. "Come on, eat quickly and let's go. My mother doesn't like to wait," said Gregory to the girl. Venus noted to herself that he was in a bad mood today. There was irritation in his words. "By the way, you look really good in that dress," complimented Gregory. "Silly child, why did it take you so long to come to me? Why keep your mother waiting?" An irritated Mrs. Prasden came out to meet Gregory and Venus. "Oh, and you must be my son's girlfriend?" Literally, within seconds, the woman's mood changed. "Mom, I told you not to make too much food. I told you we're not coming empty-handed, we're bringing goodies," reprimanded the woman Gregory. "What kind of nonsense are you saying? Of course I cooked a lot of food so that my daughter-in-law would be convinced that I am a good hostess." Mrs. Prasden was indignant. "It's so great that my son has finally found a girlfriend. I didn't think it would ever happen," Mrs. Prasden exclaimed, taking Venus's hands in hers. A few hours later, Venus and Mrs. Prasden became real friends. It turned out that they had a lot in common. Watching from the sidelines, Gregory was pleased that his plan had worked. His mother liked his girlfriend, so she would insist on the wedding even more. Venus would hardly be able to refuse her. "I want to make a little present for you," Mrs. Prasden exclaimed, and opened a box of jewelry in front of Venus. "This was my gift from Gregory's grandmother when I married his father. This necklace is made of elite jade. On the inside, in small block letters, it says, Prasden." The woman explained to Venus. "The necklace and 5 other basic items made of gold and jade are inherited by the ancestors of the Prasden family. A girl who marries a man of the Prasden family may receive one of them as a gift." "Take this necklace and keep it safe." The woman held out the jewelry to Venus. "And please tell me when you're going to play the wedding. I'd really like to have you as my daughter-in-law. For one thing, I'll have someone I can go shopping with every day. Secondly, I am not a young woman anymore, and so I really want grandchildren. I also want to throw a fancy banquet in honor of my son's wedding. If you are worried about a wedding, my home can serve as a great venue. I will pick out special furniture and change the whole interior for it. We'll also bring in photographers and videographers." What kind of horror is going on here? Why is this woman already planning her son's wedding? How am I supposed to come out of this situation victorious? Venus thought to herself with horror. The girl turned to Gregory, looking to him for protection and support. The man was calmly drinking his tea. He had a calm and peaceful expression on his face. "You didn't warn me your mother was so stubborn! I can't take expensive gifts from her," the girl whispered indignantly when they were alone with Gregory. "First of all, you're going to have to take those gifts after all, and secondly, you'd better turn around." Also, in a whisper, Gregory answered her. When Venus turned around, she saw behind her a joyous Mistress Prasden. "How beautiful you two look together! You're just the perfect couple!" the woman exclaimed. "But I don't want to marry you. That's why I don't want to receive gifts from your mother," Venus whispered again. "Don't worry, I'll be sure to talk to my mother just a little later," promised the girl Gregory. "Venus, come here. I have a little agreement for you. Take this pen and sign this document." Mrs. Prasden handed the girl a pen and a piece of paper. "Just put your signature here, and you'll get a share of Prasden's company after you're married." "What is that woman doing? What other share of the company?" Venus grimaced. "Maybe it's not that important right now. I am only Gregory's girlfriend, not his spouse. If we stop communicating with him, you could suffer great financial loss." Venus tried to reason with the woman. "Don't worry, I have confidence in my son. He's a reliable guy. He'll never leave you. He's a one-lover," Mrs. Prasden said in a confident voice. "You better sign that document or she won't get off your back," whispered Gregory in Venus's ear. "Play your part to the end and don't take too much into your head. Most importantly, don't tell your mother about our secret." Venus still gave in to the Prasden family's entreaties and signed the document with a trembling hand. "Well, you can't run away from me now. You're caught in my net like a stupid fish," Gregory thought to himself, smirking evilly. And since we're a big and friendly family now, I suggest we go shopping. I'll help you pick out some nice things. Mrs. Prasden didn't want to let Venus go. I think I've had enough presents for today. I feel extremely awkward right now. Venus tried to object to the woman. My mom really likes to store, so I don't think you should turn her down. You'll be able to chat with her, get to know each other better, said Gregory to the girl. And why did I agree to pretend to be his girlfriend? If I had known it would be like this, I would have definitely refused. Venus thought to herself, almost crying. Listen, tell me how you met my son. I'm very interested. Venus was asked by her future mother-in-law. I want to point out that you are the first girl my son has ever brought into my home, and I think it's for a reason. My son truly loves you. Mrs. Prasden confessed to the girl. Is this woman really telling the truth now? I never thought Gregory didn't have an official fiancé, and I have little faith that he loves me. After all, he's never professed his love for me, Venus thought to herself. Suddenly, the girl felt a chill all over her body. She remembered how she had met Gregory, why she was here, and the death threat her father was facing. Venus, I want to ask you to keep seeing my son. Please don't let him go. You really are a very handsome couple, and you will have simply wonderful children, Mrs. Prasden insisted. After walking around the stores for a few hours, Mrs. Prasden and Venus bought just a huge amount of different things. The girl had never seen so much shopping in one place. Looking at the joyful Mrs. Prasden, Venus suddenly realized that she could hardly escape from this family. She would remain in the lives of these people forever. Without realizing it, Venus had fallen into a well-thought-out trap. She was caught in a net set by Gregory.